Hey, what up, folks? You guys wanted a positioning guide. I usually say frontline goes front, backline goes back, but for this one, we're gonna do it a little more in depth. So we're just gonna do this alphabetically. Gonna go through all the champs, tell you, about efficient ways to use them, get the most value out of your units. So let's start with Aatrox. Aatrox pulls the furthest two units. So if you got carries in these corners, you're having a bad time. Even if you start like let's say you put some melee unit. Let's say you're playing Ashe, right? You put some melee units over here. You put Nunu. You put Tom Kent. You're like, oh shit, we're lit. No, you're not. They're gonna walk up, and then you're actually gonna get pulled. So either you need a QSS to deal with it on your carry, or you need to play like an Azir and have some two corner units. On the flip side, if you're playing Aatrox and this guy has an Azir turret over here, and your Aatrox is here, and he has one over here, you're not going to pull it over. So if you go like this, if you put him there, he's going to pull these two anyways. So just always try to be aware of that. If you're playing Aatrox, you want him opposite of the carry you want to pull. And if you're playing against an Aatrox, ideally you want to be on the same side. Or at least just make sure you're not opposite. Okay, Ahri. Ahri has a RNG big bomba. So your best bet is to not group up. Every now and then if you have like an Azir turret over here, or like, let's say you're playing Mystics, right? You have a random Janna, that's Lux, but like, let's say it's Janna. Every now and then, she'll just ult this unit over here. So, maybe you won't die. But generally, just make sure at least you have some units not with your clump. Just for like that small chance that your whole team doesn't blow up. And if you're playing Ahri, you probably don't want to. I see people frontlining her. I don't think frontlining her is that great unless she has like Chie and a mana item. She still might not go up. Ideally, you want her not solo frontline. So like maybe her and like another unit if she has a GA. If no GA, definitely like move her back. You don't need to backline her, but like maybe like third row, second or third row. Back row if no GA though. Akali. I mean, it's an assassin. You want it on carries. If you're playing against it, just it's gonna be the same for all assassins. You don't want to be on the same side as them because they're gonna pop your carry. All right, Annie. She's a frontliner mage. Put her in the front. Give her some tanky items. She actually does a lot of damage. So if you put her if you try to put her in front of the clump of who you're fighting against, you'll get a lot of value from her ulti. She does a lot of DPS. Cassio, again, same as Annie. You want her in front of a carry, because if she's directly in front of it, she can reach the back line. So if you're playing as like Ashe and they're clumped up, you want to put it in front of the clump. And make sure that you're not ulting someone over here when their whole team is over here. So like, let's say they have a carry right there, right? And their clump is right here. You want to put it right there because it's gonna ult that target right there. So you got to make sure it doesn't just fucking whiff. And if you're playing against a Cassio, let's say there's a Cassio right here, right? Right. Okay. So and your clump is your clump's over here. You got your noobs over here. If you put your unit right there, or put one right there, not Akali. If you put one right there, she probably ults here and she hits nothing, or she can ult here sideways and also hit nothing. But you got to make sure like it doesn't walk up right there, because if it walks right there, it hits your whole side, you're fucked. But like Cassio is pretty good. She's really good if you use her right, and she's kind of easy to play around. It's the same as Set. You just put a decoy unit and hope it goes the wrong way. I just skip a couple. Yeah, I skipped Ashe. I mean, Ashe is a carry. You just want to keep her safe. If she has a QSS, just shove her in the corner. Bottle her up like this a little bit, and you're chilling. If she has no QSS, you need some decoys if you're playing against CC. If you're not playing against Aatrox, bro, just corner her, and you're chilling. Azir has a knockback. So it's the same as Lux or all skill shot champs. If you want him opposite from the clump, and you want him at an angle so he hits more of a board. As far as his turrets go, you put him where you need him. If you need the little turrets in the backline that just protect from things like Aatrox, you can put him back here, or you can stack him here, or you can just keep your carry safe like this. It just depends. If she has a QSS, you can just do this to keep her safe. The one thing I will mention is they don't move. So if you have a 800, if you have a 4 range champ here, and you have another 4 range champ here, this you can get in a scenario where this one attacks something over here and won't move, and then this one can't reach. So make sure if you do something like this, that this champion has longer range than this champion. So you can right click them and check their range. Alright, moving on. Diana, again, an assassin, you just want on carries. At least it doesn't really matter. I mean, as far as keeper value goes, a good way to get some keeper value is something like this, to where, you know, you have 2 keepers like this, and you have one on the diagonal. This one should be tanky, so maybe like an H, maybe swap these. And this one is something that's going to tank aggro. So like an assassin is really good. Let's say you're running like an Evelyn, right? So you put it right there, and then she gets a lot of value, and this one gets a lot of value, and these guys over here get like some value. And you kind of want everyone to like get hit. You don't want just one guy. Like, I see this a lot, and I don't think this is very good, because what normally happens is this guy tanks all the damage, and these guys never get hit, and you lose all the keeper value. So like being more like in the middle, is generally good. All right. Evelyn, again, assassin, you want her on carries. Ezreal's AoE is super fucking wide. So like I see a lot of people put him like in the corner like this, and you really don't need to. I mean, you can, it's fine, but you really don't need to. If he's like here and Ashe is like here, the AoE still hits. But yeah, him in the corner is obviously good because it hits most of your team, it hits all of their team, and you get a lot of value from that unit. Also, Ezreal's kind of insane. Like, for the utility, this champion is not played enough. You guys should be trying to pick up Ezreal if you were given, if he fits. Fiora, I mean, bro, it's Fiora. You just, you know, you want her in the front. She's a frontliner. Like, you don't want her like solo front because she gets popped, but like, it's good to have her in the front. If you put her in front of like a Cassio, that's also not bad. If you put her in front of a Set, it's not bad. I mean, this unit's not in meta, but like, it's really good into things like Cassio Set. Like, if she parries the Set ulti, bro, that's a 1 fight right there. Do pay attention. Like, honestly, you should pay attention to where you're putting all your units. But like, do pay attention who you have her in front of, because the stun can be very valuable. Like stunning, you know, reposting a fucking Set ulti, bro, that's game changing, no? Garen, again, a champ not really played too much, but a very good champ nonetheless. Early game, Garen 2 is game changing. If you want him to be the main tank, so if you're, let's say you're running, okay, let's do like two Vanguards, right? Let's say you're running Wukong Garen. You always want Garen on the inside, to where most units will attack him. So either like this or like this, because what will happen is people will gather around him, and you'll get more value from your spin. If Wukong's one, like, honestly, if it's like Chosen Garen, you could even do this. You can even do something like this, to where he's just like solo frontline and put Wukong here, so he always gets the most value. But this unit early is gonna carry you. If you're playing Warlords, this is very, very good for win streak. So you got to make sure to use him right, and make sure he's tanking and ulting more people. All right, moving on. Hecarim. Hecarim is literally the same thing as Garen. Everything I just said, it's the same champ, but instead of doing damage, he heals. Also, this champion's fucking insane. The amount he heals is nuts. But be careful that he doesn't get popped. Silas is really good into Hecarim, and you can die before you cast. But if you have Vanguards, you're usually chilling. So, just, yeah, this champion's insane. Honestly, you could probably solo frontline him. If he's Chosen or 2-star, you can solo frontline him, and this fucker's never gonna die. Irelia. Okay, well, Irelia, you want to make sure that she gets on the clump. So, like, if they're clumped somewhere, you don't want, like, she could be solo frontline, it's fine. But you want to make sure that the angle she gets actually, like, you know, hits stuff. I see people put her, like, you know, put her, like, here, and then someone just has, like, one unit. Like, I see people, like, put her here, and someone has a unit right there, and she just, like, fucking whiffs ult every time. But, like, this ult is really good. The CC is really long. It's an AoE CC. If you pay attention to anything, you should pay attention to her positioning, because getting that on multiple targets can be game changing. Honestly, something like this isn't bad if they have a frontline. If they have a lot of frontline, she walks up and she hits all of them. But more often than not, you'll just want to frontline her, and not you probably don't want her to be in the corner, because the worst thing that can happen is someone walks up next to her and she ults sideways. But so you want maybe something like this, right? Let's say you're playing actually, yeah, let's something like this. And then if someone walks up here or here, she can still reach the back line. So I don't think you want her like, I don't think you want her at the edge. You probably want her in the middle, or walking up towards the middle. If you have just like 2-star vanguards walking up towards the middle. All right, Janna. I mean, Janna don't matter, bro. Just like, you probably want her like third row, so she like tanks a little bit, but it don't matter. Jarvan. Okay, Jarvan's kind of good. Jarvan stuns he can stun the whole enemy team if you position him right. So I would say be careful about playing against assassins, because they can grief his ulti. Just keep that in mind. But for the most part, you want them opposite of their front line. So let's say they're in this top left corner. You probably want to move your units away from the left side and go more towards the right side. You don't want them to be the main tank. So you want them to decorner a little bit. So like if you have your units on the right side, their backline will walk up a little bit, and then Jarvan will get behind their units and stun and like knock up their carry. Whereas if you put him here, let's say their left side and your left side, he's not gonna get on their carry. He's gonna go like somewhere to the middle, or even like somewhere to the side, which it's not what you want. So just try to have him opposite from the carry to where you knock up the whole enemy team. Jax is the same as Hecarim. Jax is the same as Garen. He has an AoE stun. The only difference is he's not very tanky. So you don't want him to be the main tank. A lot of the time, dude, it's harder to get Jax value the same way as Hecarim is Garen, because he just gets popped. So honestly, the DPS is more valuable. So you probably don't want him in the front unless you're just like playing Duelist or something. Then you could run him. Then you can run him. If you're playing like a Duelist opener, you have like Yasuo and like Fiora and shit, then Jax will be that unit that is solo tanking. So you're gonna do something like this to where he's on the inside, and then you have Yasuo coming up. You can even do something like this. Like something like this is also fine. Speaking of Yasuo, you want him frontline to make use of the shield. I'm just gonna like do these when they make sense together. Yasuo's his passive makes him tanky, and you want to use that. You don't want to like. I see a lot of people backlining him like this, and you lose a lot of the tank value, because what happens is Fiora dies, and then Yasuo's full health, and then like everyone's dead, but he still has a shield. Hey, you just lost all that value. So something like this would be a lot better. Or even something like this, but you get into the risk of him not tanking. So I would probably recommend, if I'm playing a Duelist opener, I would probably recommend something like these three here. And you have like a Kalista back here. Basically with Kalista, you just don't want her to get focused too much. So watch out for assassins. If she can fight, she's gonna win you the fight. But if she gets popped, all your damage is gone. So an early Duelist opener is going to look something like this. Jax on the inside, Yasuo on the side, but like still kind of frontline. You could also do like this. And then Fiora coming up, and ideally you want her to come up here. You want her to come up here because you don't want her to go here, because you want units to gather around Jax, right? So you want her to come up the inside and help kill the units over here, just so you can kill shit faster. Generally, killing things faster is good, because they lose a team member and they lose all that damage. Jhin, I mean, it's the same as Ashe. Backliners in the back. If he has a Trap Claw QSS, you can corner him. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't do that. Jinx is going to be the same way. If she's your carry, you want to keep her safe. So you're probably running your QSS on her, so you can go ahead and corner. Kalista, dude, I feel like all the carries are all the same, right? Just, keep him safe. Put him in the back. If you don't even play around Aatrox with this, unless it's like your late game carry. So if you're playing against assassins, one good thing you can do is something like this. Let's say you're playing, you're playing against assassins. Got it. It's so hard to position, actually. This is something like this is probably your best bet. Kalista third row, and then Fiora in the back. And your hope is that they jump back here, and Fiora can help kill the assassin, which is realistic. I mean, your best bet is being on the other side. of the assassins, but like, you know, if you can't do that, if you're not sure if there's like assassins on both sides, something like this could be very good. It could be very beneficial for you. Or even something like this, to where you can like corner a unit. Something like this wouldn't be bad. Moving on, Katarina. You want Katarina in the middle. You want her jumping on their back carries. So if they are in the left corner, you want Katarina here, here, or here. Basically, so this way when she jumps in the back, she reaches her carry. If they're on the right side, you want Katarina here or here. Because again, this way it reaches the back line. So this little you know, these 4 rows right in the middle, this is going to be your golden zone. And this is early game positioning, early mid game. This is very general positioning for most players. You know, if they're left, you go left. If they're right, you go right. Later on, you can even go out a little further. But I wouldn't. This is like these sides here. This is for specific people. You know, you think you're gonna fight them. It's for specific people. It's probably here and here. Let's not even. Basically, these 2 outer hexes, you don't even want to go there, bro. Like, that is just too far. Her ulti is not going to reach the back line. You just want to stay here in this little middle money zone, right? All right, Kane. You want him on carries. Again, assassins, you want him on carries. You wanna put him on the side somewhere, one of these 2 spots, one of these 2 spots. If they're carries in the middle, you can go here, but most people don't do that. So you just want him in the corner. You want him to kill those priority targets. If you're running blue Kane, especially if you're running red Kane, you can like maybe go to the middle, but even then, like, the issue you face with running Kane, if you put him in the middle, is he jumps on the back line, and if he doesn't get on a carry, he gets on a tank. What happens is like your frontliner here will die, and then they'll focus Kane. And even if it's red Kane, he usually gets popped unless he's super tanky. So you just want to get him on the carries, or if he's super tanky, fuck you, run him up the middle, and then he becomes your frontline after these noobs die. Kennen, I see a lot of people running Kennen frontline with the keepers, and you get more value, but the issue with running Kennen frontline mid game is he gets fucking killed. If he doesn't have a GA, you can't do it, and you're probably better off running him second row, so he gets 1, maybe 2 ults off, and just, you know, he lives for those fights. Him living longer is really good. He has a lot of AD thanks to Ninja. So you want him somewhere in the middle. You don't want to go side. You want to be somewhere in the middle. If you have multiple keepers and multiple units that you can run up here, you can frontline him, and it's going to look something like this, with Kennen in the middle, Elise on the side, or even right there. And then, so basically something like this, right? You have Kennen in the middle, Elise back here, Sejuani, let's say this is Sejuani right there, and these are like, this is your clump, right? So like, this is okay because he's not the main tank. You just got to make sure you don't put him in front of like a Jhin or an Ashe. And they'll usually be in the corner, so you'll be fine with something like this. Basically, you don't want Kennen to be solo frontline, or he's gonna die. Kindred. Okay, I see people say, damn, my Kindred griefed. She's a Pepega. She jumped into the enemy team. If you put Kindred here, or like somewhere in the fucking side, she's gonna do that. Because if she's here, and she's attacking someone here, she's gonna jump, she's gonna jump, she's gonna jump, and then she's gonna be here. So you want to put her like in the back. You want to put her in the back, and what will happen is she'll jump, and she'll jump here, she'll jump here, and she'll jump back and forth. So make sure she is not on the side. If she is on the side, she's just gonna curve around whoever she's attacking, and she's gonna kill herself. So you want her like somewhere like right here, right in the middle. So she jumps over here and she kills something over there, and then she jumps back once she gets on something else. Basically, right here is your money zone with Kindred. These few hexes right here. This row is also fine, but you get the same problem where she has like, she can have a you know, the arc. The arc is different, you know, it's gonna be, it could fucking run into the enemy team. So these 5 hexes are gonna be really good for you. All right, Lee Sin. Okay, no one plays Lee Sin because he like sucks right now, but at some point he will. They're gonna play Lee Sin. So good spots for Lee Sin if you're running him. If someone has a unit here, like right on this hex right there, if you just put Lee Sin there, he'll fucking eat him off the map. So that's pretty good. Other than that, I mean, you can put him near priority targets. If he has an RFC, bro, no one plays Lee Sin. If he has an RFC, you just put him near where you want him, you know, to whoever you want knocked off. So something like this, something like this. If you're playing against Lee Sin, I would say don't put your units here because they just get knocked off instantly. And then be careful about putting your carries at a diagonal behind the unit. So like, let's say you have like an Aatrox here. You know, be careful about putting your unit like right there or right there because they're gonna get knocked into them. So you can put your main carry like here or here, to where they don't get knocked up by the, you know, the thing the Lee Sin kicks. Also, if you just have like, let's say, I think Azir is going to be really good into Lee Sin, because what you can do is you can run an Azir like here, and you can put like his little turrets right there and right there, and then Lee Sin kicks like Aatrox or something, and it knocks into the turret, and he's just stuck, unable to kick the unit off the map. I think as like, you know, no one plays this unit, but like once people play them, I think Azir is going to be really good into them because the turrets are going to be able to save your units from getting kicked off, and you can just, you know, just kind of waste him. Lillia, positioning really doesn't matter. She's like short ranged, so just I just make sure you don't trap her in the corner. Like if you're backlining her, just make sure you don't trap her in the corner because she's really short ranged. She should be like third row usually. Lissandra, it's going to be like the same as the TF positioning. I'm going to cover Lissandra and TF here. Let me find TF. You want, her ulti has a really big cone. So like it hits one target here. Let's say it hits here, and then it just hits, it goes like this. It goes like this. It goes like this. So you just want to make sure, you just want to like, if you have her early game, she does a lot of damage. You just want to make sure she's in a spot where she's getting value. So like look to see where their units are, and then try to line her up to where she's going to hit like the back line. So you probably don't want to like put her here. You probably want her like somewhere on the side. Either you can put her here, it's okay. But if they're on the right side, I think this is generally a really good spot for her because you have a unit here and maybe like a unit here. I wouldn't even put a unit here. I'll just put like 2 units like this. And this way, if someone's over here, like the issue if you put it here and they have someone right there is you just ult this and you might not hit anything. But if you do like this, then they can walk up and you can hit like more units. So I think this is a good spot for her. I don't think this is a bad spot for her either. Like third row. Behind your backline, you want to make it so they clump up. So you probably don't want like this. If you're playing her here, it's going to be something like this to where you're on the right side, and that way you can pull the enemy team into you. Lulu, I like Lulu third row. I like Lulu third row because once they get past your front line, they can get on Lulu, and she acts as like a secondary tank. If you're playing something like Elderwood, she can act as a secondary tank and buy you more time, as opposed to doing like this, to where, you know, they might just get an Ashe. And like, let's say there's a Jhin over here, he kills your front line, they're gone. You know, if the Lulu's over here, it's a little extra time that your Ashe doesn't get popped. So I like her third row. Lux. Bro, this is gonna be so long, actually. There's a lot of champs. Alright, Lux, you want something like this. You want her away from the majority of your team. You want her away from your front line. And you don't want to do it like this because they can just kill Lux. So something like this is generally pretty good. Alternatively, something like this. They might even get on Lux there. It's maybe something like this. But I think the best positioning for Lux is this left corner here, because the angle is a little better. So the idea is that the enemy team walks up to your team. They walk up and they go here and they go here and they have units back here. And what Lux does is she ults everybody. She fucking stuns everybody because these guys over here de-corner and they walk down, and these guys are already there, so you hit them anyways. And the front line gathers around like, you know, your Sejuani or some shit. And then Lux stuns the whole enemy team. Early game, she is a very, I can't find Sej. She's a very impactful unit, and she can change a fight. She does a lot of damage. Her CC is insane. If you're playing Lux, you probably want her in a corner and do something like this. You can even maybe get tricky with it and do something like this, but that's kind of risky. You can do something like this, but like that's in specific scenarios. So I think generally her best positioning will be like there. So try to do something like this and make sure they line up. Maokai. Yo, Maokai is nuts. This guy does so much damage. If you put him in front of the clump, if you put him in front of the team clump, he's at and like get the backline, it's gonna change the fight. Dude, 50% attack speed slow is nuts. You want to try to get that on as many units as possible. This unit is nuts. Make sure you put him in front of the clump. Make sure you try to hit multiple units with his ability. Would definitely recommend that. Also, just attack speed slowing, something important would be nice. Like if people play Lee Sin, you can put in front of Lee Sin, because if he attacks slower, he ulti slower. That is generally good. Units like Set, it's good to hit them with Maokai. Just hit Jax. If you're playing against a Jax, you know you want to hit him. Just be conscious of Warwick. You want to hit Warwick. So just like try to position him where the attack speed slow makes sense. But if you can ever get like some AoE damage, I would recommend it. So let's say you're playing Brawler. Let's say you're playing Brawlers, right? You have a Tahm Kench. You have a Nunu. Oh, bro, let's just talk about Brawler positioning, huh? Fuck it. Let me find all the Brawlers. So let's just do all of them. Why not? Why not? Silas, Set. All right, let's say you're running some Brawlers, right? So Nunu's good. You want him to live. You don't want him to be your main tank. So you want him somewhere in the middle. You don't want him to be the main one. You want him to be in the middle. This is too many Brawlers. By the way, don't run 7 Brawlers. This shit, it's too much. I see people running 8 Brawlers. That shit sucks. Drop these 2. And now we don't have fucking 20 melee units. Cause like how the fuck are you gonna how do you run this and say, yup, this looks good? No, you need to drop these. And even maybe this guy, but this guy's insane. Alright, so Tahm Kench doesn't matter, he's a fucking meat shield. You put him in front. Early game, you want people to attack him. Late game, he doesn't do anything. So he doesn't do anything. You're never really running him in your late game comp. So a realistic team comp, you have Ashe, and you want Vi near Ashe, because that armor reduction is valuable. So you want it, if you're this side, you want it like this. If you're this side, you want it like this. And you want those units together. You want Warwick near Ashe so he can get a reset. So he needs kills and assists to pop off. So put him near Ashe, because that way you can actually kill shit. Set, you want Set. This is the issue with running too many Brawlers. Set doesn't get he doesn't get focused too much. So what happens is you're gonna be running something like this, and you just like lose. Their mana goes off too slow. This is why I don't like running like 20 fucking Brawlers. So Silas, you put him in front of priority targets that you want to reduce mana. So you put him in front of Set. You put him in front of Aatrox. You put him in front of Sejuani. It's okay in front of Riven. It's kind of shit. But basically, you want to put him in front of like, probably like Sej and Aatrox to make sure that their ults don't go off as fast. And that's going to be really important for you. If you can line up the AoE, you're going to have a lot of luck. Early game, Silas is really good for that, because units cast a lot. They cast a lot because the fights are so long. So if you can hit multiple units with a good angle, try to just be conscious of that. Like just being conscious of this stuff will help you immensely. I don't like the frontline Nunu unless he's super fucking tanky, because I like these units going off first, and generally you want Nunu to live longer. I think late game, this is what your positioning looks like. The Maokai AoE isn't as valuable. If you're playing against assassins, you can even put him in the backline. If you're playing against assassins, you can put him backline, and then when they jump over here and he ults them, it's super valuable. Like ulting, lowering a Talon's attack speed by 50% is very nice. You definitely want to be doing that. So this is probably what your positioning looks like late game. Maybe something like this. Maybe something like this. You want Set to kind of get some aggro, so try to put him like in front of like their clump, in front of their carry, wherever that may be. If they're over here, you know, maybe like this. If they're over there, maybe, I guess if you're playing Set, Vi ulti doesn't really matter as much, because your Set's your carry. But I don't think you should solo frontline them in some cases. So maybe something like this would be ideal against assassins. I mean, against assassins, you're clumping up, right? You're clumping up. But Maokai running up the middle is pretty good. You want to make sure you don't have too many units over here, because what's going to happen is he's going to walk up, and these guys have to walk all the way over here. So just be conscious of that. Something like this is very good. Something like this works pretty well. And then Maokai walks up here. Maybe swap these two. So Silas walks up here and he mana reaps whoever is on set. But I mean, really, if you don't frontline him, he's not going to cast in time. So maybe something like this, right? Something like this. This is probably what you're going to be running late game. This is what your brawler position is going to look like. Something like that. Even you can even put Nunu up here. All right. Where were we? Let's see. Morgana. I mean, her ulti is kind of random, so there's really no great way to position her. If she's tanky, you can like move her up, like if you have a GA or something. But like, you don't want her like in the middle. You want her probably like right there, where she is not your main tank. Ideally, second row is really good. That way, I mean, you're running this with assassins, so honestly, you can even put her there as long as she's not your main tank. If she takes a little bit, it could be okay because she can ult, get mana faster because people are attacking her, and then cast again. But just don't put her like in front of a Jhin or an Ashe, or she's gonna fucking get popped. So probably second row. Nami, you put Nami near your carries. So let's say you're running mages, right? Let's say you're running mages. You want to put her near the carries because she ults the closest targets. So, you know, it's good against dealing with assassins. It's good at dealing with like Aatroxes or something, whoever is near. But really, it's best for assassins. But she's gonna ult whatever. Nidalee, you want Nidalee far away from the enemy team. Her ult does more damage the further it travels. So you want her away from the enemy team. So something like this. You want her in the corner here. You want her in the corner here. What you don't want to do is you don't want to box up. Don't box up like this because you get less value. So something like this, her in the corner is going to give you a lot of bang for your buck. Nunu, we talked about Nunu. Pyke. Pyke is nutty. You definitely want to be using this champion to the best of your ability. I like getting him. Okay, so you have two options. There's two really good ways to use Pyke, and people just like, okay, generally you want him on the outside. People put him in the middle and his ults suck. Generally you want him on the outside. You have two options. Option one is, let's say they're on left side. You can put, and their carry is on left side, like their Ashe. You can put Pyke left side, and if you really want him to get back in there, you want to move your backline to the third row, and this way he actually gets to the backline. Otherwise, if it's like this, he doesn't get the clump. He jumps outside of the clump and he doesn't get in there, so it's not as good, but it could still be okay. So the main thing that you're looking for here is you want him near the carry, and then once he takes a little damage, he ults away. This works better if it's not a super tanky frontliner. So let's say it's like a Garen, right? Okay, it's gonna be early game. So let's say you're running Cultist. So let's say it's like an Elise. Elise is probably too tanky. Alright, I'm just gonna go into it. Basically what you want is you want him to tank aggro, so maybe even something like this, right? To where you're like kind of clumped away. You want him to jump in, you want him to take aggro, and then once Ashe attacks him and he's over there, what will happen is he'll ult away and Ashe will chase into him. Ashe will chase him for a couple hexes and she'll walk into the stun. And that's a really good way to do it. Alternatively, you can put him on right side and have your units on the right side. This is against players on the left side. So if they're left side, you go right side. You jump on their front line here. Their backline D-corners to attack your units. And then you stun all the way to the back side. You get behind their carry. You stun their carry. The fight's going to go on for a while. And then Aatrox is going to die at some point. I mean, he's probably going to pull some shit in. But let's say Lise dies at some point. Pyke ults again, you get another stun on the backline. I think this is the best way to use Pyke. Put him opposite from their carry, so you jump behind him, stun him. He gets aggro, he jumps away, and he stuns him again. I think that's going to be the best bang for your buck. So you position opposite from their team. You stun him once, you stun him twice. Riven. I mean, you don't really do anything special with Riven. I would say make sure you don't go in front of a Jhin or an Ashe. Like, even if she's tanky, if you're in front of a Jhin or an Ashe, they're going to pop you. So make sure you don't do that, and then you'll be golden. I mean, it's really hard to control where she goes for the most part. But like, as long as you avoid that, you'll be okay. She's going to jump If you have a Riven 3, you want to put her in front of the carries. I just said don't put her in front of carries, but you want to put her in front of carries. So like, let's say, you know, they have Sejuani, they have Aatrox, they have something like this. They have something like this, right? And they have an Ashe here, or like, I guess Jhin. Whatever. I can't find Jhin, it's Ashe. If you put her like here, or here's probably better, because she has a chance to jump back here and then just get on the Ashe once they kill him. So if you're playing Riven, just don't put her in front of DPS units, and you'll be okay. You generally want her near a clump of enemies to get more AoE value, right? Sejuani, I like Sejuani right in the middle. And if I'm playing Aatrox, I like Aatrox right next to Sejuani, opposite from where the enemy team is. This AoE is insane, and you just put her in the middle, she hits everyone. Don't do something like this. This generally isn't going to go as well. I like Aatrox on the outside and Sejuani on the inside. You get more value. You pull in the units that are over there that you can't reach, and then you can actually... This way you can actually reach everybody. You actually just reach everybody. Even the units in the corners, you just reach them. If you're playing against assassins, and your backline can live just for like a little bit for the Aatrox to go off, what you can do is you can solo frontline Aatrox, and you can put him opposite from your carry. And that way, if you have like an Azir to buy it just a little bit of time with like the little, you know, the soldiers, Aatrox will pull all the units away from your Ashe, or at least 2 of them. He'll pull 2 away from your Ashe, which can be pretty good. So he's good at dealing with corner units, and he's good at dealing with assassins on your backline. And we talked about it earlier. If you're playing against Aatrox, you kind of need a QSS, or you need some decoy units. But yeah, Sejuani is insane. She ults a lot. Set. I will talk about Set and tell you how to use him the best way I know how. So you want to put him in front of something tanky. He does more damage if he ults a higher health target. So if you were playing against brawlers, you can put him in front of the Tahm Kench. It's really good. Sejuani also has a shit ton of health. If you put him in front of a Sejuani, it's going to give you a lot of value. Make sure there are 2 things to watch out for. 2 really good ways to counter Set. Trap Claw is one of them, and Yuumi is another one. If someone frontlines a Yuumi against you, and you try to ult Yuumi, and she fucking dashes away, your ulti does nothing. So a good way to counter Set is you put Yuumi right in front of that fucker, and then when he tries to ult her, it does nothing. So Yuumi, very good into Set. Would recommend it. Trap Claw, also really good into Set. Would recommend it. Silas, very good into Set. Would recommend. If you're playing against Set, fucking don't stack up all your units and let him ult your fucking whole team. Something tanking to your team. So if there's a Set like right there, you want to put your like Sejuani or some shit like right there. You know, you basically don't let him have the beefiest boy, and you need to try to position for him. Like if it's Set, you know, there's not too many people alive late game. You're trying to position for these people specifically. You try to give them a worse angle. Try to have the Set all away from your team. So like I would probably even drop like Sejuani Aatrox value late game. Just so that my whole team doesn't get fucked by this guy. So I mean, you can't do something like this because your backline gets fucked. But like something like this isn't the worst. Like if they really want, you know, they're gonna ult through your team into, you know, they're gonna ult this into your team. But you can do this in like some last second swaps, maybe go left side so you don't get fucked, and just like, you know, do something like that. Just last second. But just be conscious of it. Try not to get your whole team ulted. Try to utilize Yuumi and Trap Claw to minimize his value. Shen. This unit sucks. They're buffing him. I mean, there's really not much to play around. As far as positioning goes, you want him frontline. You want him to be the main one tanking, because the only way this unit gets any value is if he ults and he just fucking buys time for your team. He's literally a zero portal. So you want him to be tanking pretty early. You want him to be ulting pretty early. So you want him to be your main tank. So if you're running, I mean, you're never running these 3 units together. I don't see why you ever would do that. you're really running it in what, like a Talon comp. So like you have like maybe a Fiora, you have an Aurelia for sure, you have maybe a Fiora. And then he's gonna be your main tank. So you want him, you want probably a positioning like this. You want him like pretty much in the middle. You always want him on the outside because you want him to be ulting, you want him to be getting that value. So he's your main tank. Just you make sure you put him in front of someone who does damage, you know. Just put him in front of someone who does damage. If they're left side, you go right side, and that way they get focused. If they're right side, you go left side, and that way he gets focused. You just want him to be getting hit. Silas. We talked about Silas. You want him. You want that mana Reaver on priority targets. Tom Kench, beefy boy, put him in the front. Talon. All right, with Talon, you got two options. Option one is you can just put him right on a carry and try to get a carry. Or option two is you get him to jump on a squishy target, get a reset, and then jump on the carry like that. Both ways are very fine. Just make sure you don't get stuck on a beefy boy. If you get stuck on a beefy boy, you're having a bad time unless you have Giant Slayer. So just avoid getting stuck on the beef and you'll be all right. Teemo, I mean, bro, it's Teemo. You put him in the back. Thresh, I like Thresh early game. Early game, I like Thresh frontline, and we gather the team around him, and Thresh is going to be my main tank. So my positioning is going to be something like this. Even though you lose some Garen value, this is probably going to be my positioning. Maybe even something like this to where he walks up. Something like this is probably ideal. Wukong here, Thresh here, Garen or Hecarim here. And this way, Thresh gets ulted first, he lanterns himself, and you get a 3-unit shield. And then Hecarim like walks up here, and then he gets good value as well. So something like this is probably the best way to go about it. This unit's nutty early game. Late game, if you're running Thresh, if you're running like Aatrox, Sedge, you can where'd Thresh go? You can use them as a way to block assassins from getting to your units. And that's probably the best way to use him. Or you can even keep frontlining him. Like, he's actually insane. He's like one of the tankiest champs. His armor stats are nuts. TF. I like TF here. He gets a lot of value. Especially if you're, let's see, because you're usually running keepers. So you're usually able to do something like this. This side's probably a little better with keeper, so you can do something like this. This is probably the best side, but this side's also really good. The only issue is I don't like positioning like this isn't that great. I guess you could do this, and if you have a stacked TF or a TF2, like with like anything, positioning right side is actually okay because you do get the TF value. You don't get as much value from these units. And you get like pretty shit keeper value, but if TF is worth making that sacrifice for, you can do it. Because fucking putting TF here is not it. This shit's just not it, bro. So honestly, left side's probably your best bet. Left side's probably your best bet for a couple of reasons. Not only do you get like a decent value on your keepers, you get decent value on your TF, but also you have Galio spawning on the fucking map. So units can't even get in this gap right here. So honestly, this is a great spot for TF. I would recommend it. Next unit, Vayne. There's nothing to say about Vayne. Just put her in the back. Veigar. Keep this fucker safe. His ult is infinite range, so just put him in the backline somewhere. If he has the QSS trap claw, you can corner him. If not, you probably don't want to corner him. If he has Gunblade, you can even put him like third row and he can be like a pseudo tank, but realistically you probably don't want to do that, and it's probably going to be Lulu up front, so just put him in the back row, not in the corners, just in a spot where he's safe. There's really not much to say about this little guy. Vi, we talked about Vi. You want her to armor shred whoever Ashe is near. Warwick, again, you want him near Ashe so he gets a reset. Wukong's nutty. Early chosen Wukong's nutty. He is a really good DPSer. He is not the one, like, he's tanky with Divine, but he's usually not your main tank if you're running early Vanguard. It's going to be Hecarim or Garen is the ones you want you know, everyone gathered around. So Wukong's generally gonna be on the side somewhere. He's either like you want him tanking a little bit so you don't back row him, but or second row him. But you don't want him on the inside track. You want him on the outside with the other vanguards tanking more. But he is beefy, he can tank, he's really strong. Early divine for him is pretty good. Sin. Honestly, I haven't really seen this champion's not really good right now, and I haven't seen him play too much. So I don't really have anything great to say about him. You would think that he'd be a really good tank with his ability, but it's just not how he's not. He's just not. But he should be. So if you can put him where he ults multiple people, you'll get more value and you'll get the damage reduction. Theoretically, that's how he should work. You know, he ults multiple people, you get a lot of value. So you probably want him somewhere on the outside. Or just close to a lot of people. So if they have multiple units here, you can just shove them in there and just try to ult multiple people. Because you get more value from his ult. Like if he ults you, he's gonna kill you, right? So you want people gathering around him, just like Hecarim, just like Garen. You want him on the outside. Yasuo, I don't like Yasuo left side because what happens, like if you do something like this or something like this, if you do something like this, he has a hard time of ulting multiple people because if they have someone here and here, he'll never get in. He's always just gonna fucking just sit here ulting one. So I like right side, or I like running him like somewhere in the middle. So either like right there, not here, but like either here or like just somewhere here. Basically, just don't put him here. Just don't put him here, and you'll be all right. IMO. And you do want him tanking a little bit, so make sure he's frontline. Yone. I wish I could tell you, but like people don't play this champion. He's trash. This will probably change in the future, and once I play him some more, like I played this champion like once. He's actually so bad. I probably like twice, but he's so bad, bro. So in the future, once I play around with him a little more, I can probably give you better tips. But for now, I would just say don't clump your units up together because they're all gonna get ulted. So, and if you're playing him, you want him to attack their clump. So it's the same as set. It's probably the same as set. So if they have a unit here, you know, put Yone here. So if they have a unit here, yeah, and you're trying to attack this way, just put him here. Just make sure you don't fucking all away from the clump. So you got to be careful about that. Honestly, putting him like, you probably want to frontline him though, just because he's so tanky. I would recommend frontlining him somewhere in the middle, not in front of their main carry, but it might be okay if they have like a unit in front of their main carry here. Let's say they have an Aatrox here, right? If they have an Aatrox here, putting Yone in this spot's completely fine because you probably want to decoy unit here just so he doesn't get solo tanked or solo focused. But if you can ult the backline, you'll have a lot of success. So just try to get it. Just try to be conscious of the angle you're getting on the enemy team, and do frontline him initially. Yumi's nuts. If she's Yumi too, you can frontline her and you can play around things like set. Otherwise, let's say you're playing with Ashe for like some sort of hyper carry. And you have like two main tanks, let's say Sejuani Aatrox. You want Ashe opposite of whoever's in the middle. So this is gonna be your positioning, right? You want your team probably mostly left side. You want most of your team left side. Because what happens is Yumi's gonna ult either Aatrox or Sejuani, whoever's gotten targeted more. And then she's gonna ult the opposite, like the furthest unit. So you want that to be whoever you're trying to get the attack speed steroid on. So it's going to ult one of these frontliners because they're frontline. And then it's going to ult the furthest unit. So in this case, you just want to make sure your carry is like in one of these spots. And it's going to work out the way you want it. Because you want the second cast to go on your Ashe. Let's say you're playing Zed, right? Let's say you're playing Zed and you're playing Spirits. Sorry, I'm not going to put all these units in. But it's the same way. You want Zed opposite from your tanks. So you don't want, if you're playing spirits, you probably don't want to put all your units in the fucking corners. Because you just want to make sure Yuumi gets on who you want it getting on. So if Zed's jumping left, you want your team kind of like in the middle here, right? Because that way Zed always gets the second cast, because it's going to go on Frontline, and then you want to make sure the second cast is always on, you know, who you want it on. So just if your Zed's jumping left, you might want to put like Ahri here or like here. You just want to make sure, you just be conscious of where the second cast is going. It's going to the furthest unit, so just be aware. Zillion positioning don't matter. Like, you can just put him near your carry, so he kind of gets jumped on. Although they're changing his targeting. I don't think it matters. It might later, but like right now, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Just treat it as like a Janna. It's like whatever. Maybe you probably don't even want to third row him, because he's gonna get. He doesn't ult himself anymore, so you probably want to backline him. You probably want to keep him safe. Out of Aatrox pull. Alright, that's it. I might do one of these later or update some things as the set develops. But for now, catch you guys later.